Jingle bells, Batman smells. What did Robin do?
He laid an egg.
Indeed he did. Hello there, Guildies. This is the Adventurers Guild. I'm Steve.
And Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
Walking home from our house Christmas Eve?
That's right.
Oh man, I hate when that happens.
And her name is still Jessie.
Anyway, you've tuned into a lovely episode of Game Night. But I don't know what we should play.
I have a master of an idea. Da. Did something recent come out for the Switch?
It did. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. But how does that tie into Christmas?
Well, I think it's very simple. One of my favorite Christmas memories is getting a Legend of Zelda game. What's better than enjoy that memory with you guys by playing the newest Zelda game?
I got Link to the Past for getting over chickenpox. It's not really the same.
I got a GameCube and Wind Waker, and it was such a holiday memory I'll never forget.
Well, that's all I needed to hear. So, let us cue that music and play ourselves some Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. Ho, ho, ho. It is the Christmas season, so let's play a game. I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go.
I'm just saying, if he's out all night, protecting Gotham, where's he stop to use the bathroom?
He pees in his suit like astronauts do.
Oh, that makes...
Hey,
guys!
Oh,
hey!
Okay, hello there, Guildies. Welcome to a lovely episode of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Now, this is just like the other Hyrule Warriors, isn't it?
It is, but it is far superior, in my personal opinion.
Oh, that's right. They took what was good about the last one and added to it to make a superior game.
So,
almost like what sequels should do.
If you have played the Hyrule Warriors game on the 3DS or the
Switch or
the
Wii
definitive
U.
edition on the Switch, you basically, or the Wii U, you already kind of know what you are getting yourself into, because the gameplay is strikingly similar because it is a Warriors style game. But I will say that it is superior in pretty much every conceivable way.
Combat, progression, story, looks, just feeling like an actual Legend of Zelda game and closely resembling Breath of the Wild between the cooking meals, the random outfits, dye change, adding weapons, upgrading weapons. I mean, just glorious.
So,
now, my one issue with this game, if I could call it an issue, I feel a sense of guilt because when you just level up, come on, man, it's embarrassing. These soldiers, they just fall at you.
This is true. So, as you are obviously seeing here, we're doing this a little bit different than what we usually do. I pre-recorded the gameplay ahead of time. We were going to record a game session tonight when we recorded, but I ended up filming some of my gameplay earlier, and I liked the way that this stage played out, so I thought it would fit well for this style of video. So we're basically going to narrate over top of it, as we've already been doing. But going back to what you said a second ago, Warrior-style games, the meat and potatoes is that 1 versus 1,000 style gameplay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've perfected it over how long? They've been making Warriors games for what, darn near 2 decades at this point, probably about
20
that,
years
right?
by this point.
Since the original PlayStation, I believe.
Yep.
So, I mean, they it's down to a science at this point, but this game specifically, I think Legend of Zelda in general plays to this genre extremely well. And I'm not just saying that because of how much I love Zelda. I mean,
I like I with that too.
The cast of characters is so broad and varied. Between Link and Zelda, and then all the champions.
The second set of champions, everything about this.
So I mean, it's
franchise.
And then all of the varied monster types that you fight. It's very. They go together very well.
It does. And what's funny is every Legend of Zelda game, you always get a sense that Link has gotten really powerful by the end, but this is one of those games that show it because, like I said, look at you, man. Look, these guys don't even have a chance. These are like unnamed James Bond villains that should just lay down when he walks in the room because they're not going to make it. So it's embarrassing. But
so for anyone who doesn't know, the idea is It's 1 versus 1,000, so to speak. Not literally 1,000, but it's 1 versus an endless mob of enemies. And there's set goals for every stage. So I think on this stage, you basically had to capture a bunch of forts on the way to the end game here, which in this stage was to fight a big giant monster, which is really how most stages go anyway.
And usually each fort, like you can see here, has a little mini boss, which takes a little more to hit. Now, usually at this point in the game, you would have somewhat of a challenge. But Steve is what I like to call a do everything in the game. So you have how many hours into this already?
So I'm not even halfway through the game, and I'm like 16 or 17 hours in, but I do every single side quest, so my game is like uber powerful. I have the Master Sword here. Little spoiler. Guess what? You get a Master Sword in a Zelda game. But anyway, so my Link is super powerful at this point, but so I'm chewing through the boss mobs like butter. But
good word.
Thank you. Let's dissect this a little bit. So this is on the Nintendo Switch, obviously.
I can see here you got hit and you didn't even know what to do. You said, all right, we're going to do something for you, buddy.
So the pacing in these games are super fun. Like, there's no downtime.
No.
Short of running from one small section to another if you opt to avoid some of the trash mobs. It's just non-stop fighting, whereas opposed to a regular Zelda game where there's a lot of puzzle solving and
backtracking.
Exactly. That's not how Warriors games work. So, here's an electric whiz rope here that has a health bar that I'm going to jump on here. And I'm knowing me, I'm probably going to throw some bombs at him in a minute because that's kind of like my go-to thing. Yeah, I'm going to bomb him. So obviously you have all the same attacks from Breath of the Wild, but they're a little bit functionally different here. But you still get the bombs, you still get the stasis, the magnesis, or whatever. And then
each character in the game, because there's multiple characters, spoiler, but there's multiple characters you can play as from the beginning. Each one of them uses the, statuses differently. They all play differently. So you go into this idea where I'm going to play as Link because he's the main character, but then you end up wanting to try each champion, how they play, how each one incorporates bombs and everything like that. It really makes it interesting for gameplay, especially when you get towards later parts of the game where you're switching back and forth between characters, because then you're really on the fly changing up the way you play.
Right.
But look at this. Look at all those people around you. None of them are going to go see their lizard wives tonight. That's it. So if the combat is turning you off, if you're saying I've never been into this style of game, one, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but I will say this one feels more Legend of Zelda than I thought it would. And they even kind of try to incorporate small puzzle-like elements in it and other things. Just the sound, the characters, the voices.
I would say download the demo and play the demo to make the decision if you're going to like it, because I think you'll be hooked as soon as you play the demo. But from a technical perspective, this game runs way better than Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition did. Although, in that game's defense, on the Switch, that was a port of a port.
Yes.
So it was 3DS, then it was the Wii U, then it was the Switch. That game was always a little clunky off the bat. This game was obviously built from the ground up for the Switch. It runs extremely well. I haven't played it in handheld mode. I have heard complaints that there's a lot of frame rate issues in handheld mode.
Well, I can say I did play in handheld mode more than I expected to, and I didn't really have too many issues until there was just like the screen was covered in enemies. But prior to that, it wasn't anything. And even then, it wasn't unplayable issues.
Right. But in Doctor Mode, how this is, obviously it plays fantastic. The voice acting, they got all of the original voice actors from Breath of the Wild. The voice acting is on point. It's fantastic. The story is amazing. Jesse's beaten it. I'm a little over halfway through at this point, and we both love the storyline so far. It incorporates lots of RPG elements. Each individual character levels up. There's a weapon crafting system, or actually not a crafting system, a weapon upgrade system. So Link, for example, has like 3 or 4 different weapon types. He has a regular sword, a spear, 2-handed weapons. That in each individual weapon type, you can basically fuse multiple weapons together to improve them, give them new stats. So for all of those like min-maxers out there who love like very intricate stat play, you can do that with your weapons. Everybody has levels. As you level up, you gain more heart containers, etc., etc. There's side quests that unlock different things, like different attacks, increase your heart capacity, increase your experience gain, reduce damage you take from monsters. So there are RPG-like elements big time in this game.
And with the side quests, there's some challenges later on that you have to use a two-handed weapon only, or you go in, you can't be hit once, and those are actually the real fun ones.
How fast I
I
chew
know,
through this
is
thing.
really embarrassing. So,
And look how cool that special attack is.
it is really
It's not just as the game fast-paced, not to cut you off what you were saying, but since we're attacking like these guys right now, the special attacks that the game makes you feel so powerful. Like, you just feel like a god chewing through these things. It's hilarious.
And it's nice when you, especially when you run into a crowd of like 100 and you just kind of do your spin attack and they just fly back. You feel really powerful. And the other good news, you can take Link's shirt off.
You and these shirt taking
I'm
off
just
things.
saying, man. You know, not everyone gives you the opportunity to do that. You want to know what bird chest Link looks like? Here's your opportunity. So that's a buy for me.
But to get to the meat and potatoes here, if you are the kind of person who likes feeling powerful in games, and it's been a hot minute since you have felt like a lowercase g god in a video game, get Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, because you will feel that way from the very first stage when you're literally murdering hundreds of mobs over the course of seconds.
Yeah. So, really interesting, and I don't know if you realize, so Nintendo in some way has released a Legend of Zelda game every year for the Switch.
Let's think that through. So this is the 4th year. So we had the first Hyrule Warriors.
Breath of the
Oh,
Wild.
I'm sorry, Breath of the Wild. Then we had the first Hyrule Warriors.
Yep, 2009 or 2018.
Right.
Yep.
Right, and then we had
Link's
Link's
Awakening.
Awakening, and then this. Oh, that's wow, man.
One a year for the.
Typically, you're usually Zelda starved on
Yep.
most Nintendo consoles.
I mean, you look at GameCube, they barely got to. What was that noise? What happened? Oh, Skynet?
But yeah, so we are good as far as if they keep that pace. I can't even imagine. Oh, well, I guess next year, fingers crossed, Breath of the Wild 2.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
So I guess they're, I can't help but I know we've seen Nintendo praises on this channel all the time, but I really do love my Switch. Like, I was literally telling my wife that the other day, and I was like, as much as I want PS5 and I own a PS4 and an Xbox One, my Switch gets most used. I play that thing every day. And sometimes I get home and I look at it, and my wife's like, "Are you looking at me like that?" And I'm like, "No, move on. It's the Switch." It's such a beautiful, fun system.
You're not wrong. But that is... Oh, look at this. This is just sheer destruction.
Do you feel guilty at a certain point?
know.
We forgot to say about the Flurry Rush.
Oh, yeah, so there's a cool parry and dodge system in this game. Oh, my gosh. This is just absolute, just utter destruction.
That's not my soda.
So there is a dodge system in this game where if you can evade an attack at the exact right moment, the window was not very big, probably a couple of milliseconds, maybe 10, 15 milliseconds or whatever. If you can evade in the exact right time, you can fire off a Flurry Rush, which
Just
is
like this.
what I'm doing right here. Good timing. Where you can basically just unleash what essentially equates to like a Cloud Strife Omni Slash on the enemy. And if you break their shield, either doing that slash attack or just in general breaking their shield by whatever other means, then you can pull off like a super on them, where you do that spin attack and kill them, or you stab them in the top of the head or whatever.
Correct.
And every character has their own special. Shout out to Zelda's, where she spins around and it zooms in real tight on her, and then she hits them with that magnesis.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I will say, too, what's really neat is you can tell the developers took their time because
Here's a boss fight.
almost every villain, monster type, troll, centaur, whatever it is, each one of them has the killing move you have for them has a different animation. Whether you climb up on their back, flip, jump up, and it's really neat.
So here we are at a boss fight. This is Link versus 2 stone taluses.
Now, I've seen these guys in Never-Ending Story, right?
They do look similar.
Yeah, that's them.
They're different characters.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But so right here, so am I going to ride him here? You can, I guess not. But these are bosses. Obviously, they're typically supposed to be super powerful, but obviously, like we said earlier, I'm kind of OP at this point in the game, so I'm just kind of chewing through them. But it's cool. Like you saw their Link got on top of him. There's every boss. I don't want to say every boss fights differently, but there's different mechanics, kind of, to each of the bigger bosses, like the Stone Taluses. Fight a little differently than the Hinoxes. Fight a little differently than the Moblins and things like. See right here, I'm riding one, for example, hitting the stone like you do in Breath of the Wild.
They all have kind of different weaknesses and different things you can explore. And some of them, if you can catch them enough, they'll actually flash with the right color of what power you should use. to attack them. So, for an example, earlier when Steve was playing, you can see one of the villains flash blue and was used the bomb at the point. You get amazing point of damage. What do they call it in that one video? The spider crab video, XT damage.
Oh, sure, I guess.
Yeah, man.
You lost me, but we'll go with that. Whatever
I
he
was
said.
talking about old internet days. Yeah. So, great game. So, you recommend it?
Talking about the Power Rangers Gangster Crab video?
No, that's amazing.
Oh, okay. Then you lost me then.
No, the big thing where the guy was playing a video and talking about how realistic and historically accurate it was, and then all of a sudden a giant crab showed up and he was like, make sure you attack the crabs.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Okay, now we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is super old.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Anyway, we are really getting off topic here.
Is it off topic? This is all internet, and that's what we're here, guys, for your
That's a good
entertainment.
point. That's a good point. No, the day will come where this is old internet. Like 10 years from now when people are watching this.
Yes.
Which is not going to happen because nobody watches us now.
That's right.
Okay.
Maybe if we say YouTube, you'll support our video every once in a while, YouTube.
So on that note, I think that just about does it for this video for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Here I am collecting all the spoils at the end of the stage. We're about to go to a cutscene.
I was going to say, do you want to thank anybody, or?
I do. I want to thank our patrons who are appearing.
You
right
guys
here.
watch our videos, and you guys are really nice to us.
Hi, patrons.
I appreciate that.
So anyway, there's not really too many spoilers here, but listen to that voice acting.
I presume
Can you hear the
that's
voice
what you're
acting?
thinking.
I can't hear anything.
Well,
Steve.
in post, we can increase the volume.
More and more monsters have been appearing lately. It is a sign that the calamity draws near. So, there isn't much time. And still, no sign of my power awakening.
Little bird.
Okay.
So don't
that does
forget
it.
to subscribe, like, link, hit notification, because every time you do, Steve gets his wings. That's right.
That's weird. Anyway, ho ho ho. Merry Christmas. There's plenty
Now I
more
have the machine gun.
holiday themed videos coming your way. This is the Adventurers Guild. I'm Steve.
Still Jesse.
And as Dave Coulier used to say in Full House, because I said on my Atlanta a minute ago, it is time to cut it out.
Santa landed on my head,
I was going to cut it out, but then you had to go and say that.
and he's been there ever since.
Just cut this.
Santa fell on my head.
You are literally the worst.